This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. What a wonderful day, weather-wise, to start with.
Well, we ordered it specially.
You get such support, don't you, in Oakham every year for this?
We do, and it's a very important day for the British Legion, and it's a very important day for the community, and it's very important for the interface that we've got with the services.
Now, I know the British Legion are looking for a new standard bearer at the moment.
Yes, they are looking for one. Any volunteers would be very gratefully received and talked to, and see if we can get somebody who would be keen enough to do it for us.
And you've had your usual level of support in Rutland for the Poppy Appeal?
Oh yes, everybody's been very busy. I come from Empingham branch, and we've got Oakham, and we've got Empingham, and we've got Ryle. And since we became independent as Rutland, and we managed our own affairs with the Poppy Appeal, we've collected over £600,000.
That's quite staggering, isn't it, since 1997?
Since 1996, 97.
Rutland Radio.
Simon Harris, Chairman of Oakham Rugby Club.
Now, this is a big day, isn't it, actually, in terms of, not only the big festival that you've got here, but the big partnership now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to really put the club on the map. We're absolutely delighted that Land's End have decided to be our main sponsors, and we have a 3-year agreement with them, and it really puts the club on a very firm financial footing. It's fantastic for us, really fantastic. Suffice to say, it's a significant amount of money, and it's going to make a huge difference to the sustainability of the club.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, actually, one of your teams was sponsored by Aldi, of course, new to the town as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've attracted quite a few new sponsors, and we were delighted that Aldi have sponsored us. They're particularly interested in sponsoring our Colts side, and we're hoping to get a game out for our Colts just before Christmas. It's very important for the club to have a Colts team. A lot of the senior players that are playing for our first and second team at the moment have come up through the minis and juniors, through the Colts, and it's very important for the sustainability of the club to get those players involved, and it's very important that we have a Colts side, on an ongoing basis. So sponsorship from Aldi to help us do that is great.
So tell us about the festival that's here today. I mean, we've got a field full of cars. We've got players from all over Leicestershire here today.
Yeah, we're very proud to be the host of the Tigers Land Rover Cup. Again, I don't know how many years we've done it. We did it a few years down the road at the old site. But, I mean, they are obviously pleased with the hospitality that we provide with them, for them. And it's great to see everybody. I mean, the sun's shining again. We can't take responsibility for that. But no, it's a great day. And it's great to see so many sides from across the county, well, across the region actually, coming here and playing rugby and really enjoying themselves. And we're very, very pleased to be able to do it again.
Well, I've seen Spalding, Hinckley, it's quite a wide remit, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got teams coming across from Holt in Norfolk, and I think the Tigers and Land Rover do an excellent job drawing these sides in, and it's really well organised, and we've got the facilities to be able to accommodate them. These young kids, I remember when I was playing at this age, and their skill level is just tremendous, absolutely tremendous, and it's a credit to all the coaches and the other clubs that we're actually producing these players. And ultimately, the performance that we saw from England, this is where it all starts. It really does.
And some of it's actually started here in the past, of course, hasn't it? I mean, the players that you've actually, brought through the ranks here.
Yeah, I mean, we're very proud that Lewis Moody was one of our players, and we've seen other players go on from Oakham School and have played here before and go on to play for England. We're very proud, and it's a very proud club. We've got a long tradition, and, with the sponsorship from Land's End, that's now secure.
Simon Harris, Chairman of Oakham Rugby Club, thanks for joining us here at the club today, right next to the Land's End Clubhouse, as it now is.
Land's End Clubhouse, yeah. Newly branded. So, yeah, it's great. It's really good. Exciting times. Thanks very much.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm here with Sarah Ooten at her old school at Stamford High School. We're at the boys' school side of it, but how is it being here 12 months after the school turned out to see you and, going up the Thames under Tower Bridge? How amazing was that day?
The day a year ago, was an amazing day. It was special and surreal and really important to me that the Stamford kids were there to bring me home, along with lots of other people. And in terms of coming back here to give a talk tonight, sort of to share the stories from the journey, that's really special too, because the schools have always been a really important group of supporters for my journeys, and I think were really influential in my sort of progress from school and beyond, really. So it's special to be back here today.
Just looking back to that day, you set yourself the challenge of the book, which was out to the day when you actually returned a year later.
That was quite an ambitious challenge, I now realise. And so that also feels very good to be here tonight with the book. I'm really proud of the book, and it was an expedition in itself to get it written. I think it would have been an expedition to get it written within any sort of time frame, but within such a short time frame, that was especially challenging, particularly given that deadlines seemed to coincide almost to the day that I was getting married. So it has been quite a busy year.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, your year really, has been unbelievable, hasn't it? Since you've come back, not only adjusting to being back in life, but with a completely new life as well.
It has been a year full of emotion and new changes, and it's all been really wonderful. There's been some challenging parts in coming home and sort of transitioning, and in going back into detail into the book and all that happened during the journey. That was quite emotional at times, so it's good to be on this end of it.
It was 4.5 years, and then when you get back here, of course, there's other people around. It's not just you and the boat. What you're eating, I guess, is different, how you're feeling, when you're sleeping, even infections and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, some people sort of say, what's it like now you're back sort of in real life, so to speak? And kind of go, well, what's real life? Sometimes when I'm away, that has felt some of the most real times, perhaps the most vivid times, but everything is real, obviously, and it's just a new normal, or sort of a new normal for now. So yeah, there's quite a few contrasts to life on the road, and certainly being on the back end of an expedition. It's really good not to have the stress that came with the logistical planning and the financial demands and the sheer physicality of it all as well. It's been really good to let my body rest. And in terms of being around friends and family, that's been wonderful too, because I sort of feel I missed out on quite a lot of the last few years in terms of those big events with friends and family. I can count on two hands the number of weddings that I missed. And so to be here again and to sort of be a part of all of that is really special.
What is your plan for the immediate future then? Because you're touring this book, you're going all over the country, coming back to Stamford at the end of April as well.
That's right. My book Dare to Do has just been published, and as you mentioned, I've got a bit of a tour on at the moment with that, and that'll take me kind of across the Atlantic and out to Asia as well over sort of coming months. I've set myself the challenge of figuring out quite what I want to do with the children's books. By the end of the year, I really want to write a couple of children's versions of the story and also make a documentary. So again, by the end of the year, I want to have a bit more of a plan about that and hopefully get those two things sorted within sort of a year to 18 months. So that's one side of things. Another is I want to develop the work that I do with businesses as an income stream to be able to help support the work that I really want to do with youngsters, getting them outside and engaged in the outdoors. And so I'll be looking to develop those ideas as well.
Did you ever think you'd have the adventure that you had in terms of not only the sheer length of it, but also being close to nature, but having the really dark times and the really amazing times where you're just at one with nature?
Well, I think in my book, in the opening chapter of the book, the prologue, it sort of ends with something about the only thing that I knew in setting out was that I didn't know what was going to happen. And that is a metaphor for life, isn't it? You never really know what's going to happen, except that at some point you're going to die. And so I kind of had ideas that, yes, it would be full of adventure and it would be full of highs and lows and probably higher and lower than I'd ever imagined, not quite knowing the shape and the space of what lay between. But you just never can tell, can you? It certainly lived up to and exceeded my expectations. It was fantastic.
The book's been out a week. Just reading the reviews already, people are saying how well written it is, how gripping it is, how they can't put it down, how they're at one with you when they're reading it.
That's really, really touching and sort of humbling to read that. I'm really glad it's been well received so far, and I look forward to writing some more, perhaps not with quite the time pressure that I had this time.
Sarah Rutland, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. It's just great to see you back here in town. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you too.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio, breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. With us this morning is the local author Adam Longdon, who's written The Caterpillar Girl. You might have seen it on sale locally. It's very distinctive because you don't see many books that are green apart from anything else, do you, Adam?
No, that's right, yeah. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. So,
you're welcome.
Tell us about the book. It's set in the region. It's based on real places with fictional people, is that right?
That's right. It's set in the countryside, the East Midlands countryside that I grew up in, which is the towns of Loughborough and Nottingham, the surrounding countryside, the woods, the fields, and real pubs and places, old record shops that existed at the time, like the Left-Legged Pineapple, the Curzon Cinema. So for anyone that did grow up in that area, I'm sure it'd be quite an interesting read, having a fictional book set in your own streets and towns and villages.
And I know actually it's as well as what you do by day, it's making a name for yourself locally as well. I know a lot of people who actually have picked this up already and started reading it.
Yeah, well, working at Don Paddy's in Uppingham as a chef as I do, once the word got out with the staff and customers, it was quite a shock to everyone, but Facebook went a bit crazy. And they've all been really good in trying to promote it for me. And now it's fortunate, in the local bookshops like Walker's in Oakham and Uppingham Sports and Books in Uppingham as well, which is great, yeah.
So tell us broadly the plot without giving anything away, because it is one of those that's got, more than a twist in it.
It has. It's essentially about a teenage boy, Jack, who lives in a ramshackle bungalow in the middle of the East Midlands countryside. He's been brought up in isolation by his brute of a so-called father and his older sister, Anne, who's more like a mother to him, really. He wanders the woods and fields around his home. He's addicted to homebrewed cider. He's schooled at home. And at the age of 16, he's sort of thrust out into the world to work in a factory prearranged by his father. So you can imagine, after living in isolation, how traumatic this is for him. But it's on these bus journeys into work that he comes across Music Mad Daisy, the Caterpillar Girl, and the book title itself actually came from a song by The Cure called The Caterpillar, in which Robert Smith sings about a girl who flickers and mesmerises and glows inside his head, and Daisy has a similar effect on Jack, and she did to me as well, actually, writing the book. I was quite taken with her myself. Anyway, Daisy sees it as her job to sort of introduce Jack to the real world, and a lot more besides along the way. A task easier said than done with his numerous phobias and fears. A bit of a summer of love ensues. But she also encourages Jack to dig into his past and to question his father's authority, search for clues as to where he came from and why he was brought up the way he was. And this is where the darkness comes in. I'm not saying the book doesn't have a happy ending. I'm not saying it does either, but it does build to a terrifying climax, which has probably garnered the most praise. I mean, the feedback so far has been overwhelming, and the majority of people are clamouring for a sequel, which is great. It really is.
And this is the first book you've ever written?
Yes, it's my debut novel. Since the completion of The Caterpillar Girl, I have written 3 novellas, so shorter novels, and I'm halfway through my second full novel. And some of the novellas, actually, I've lived in Rutland since 1999, 2000, lived and worked in them novellas. There's quite a few little landmarks and places around here that people might recognise as well now in Rutland.
Oh, right, so people buy a collection if they enjoy The Caterpillar Girl.
Well,
they can
this is the
search out
plan,
other
I
titles.
definitely intend to publish these novellas, which aren't connected to The Caterpillar Girl.
If you'd like to buy The Caterpillar Girl, it is on sale locally, as Adam says, and also online as well.
It's also on Amazon and Kindle form on Amazon, and on my website itself, where you can get a signed copy, or you could even pop into Don Paddy's and I'll give you a signed copy. I keep them in a secret locker upstairs.
Adam Longton, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. The Caterpillar Girl, you'll see it out and about, and if you'd like something with a bit of a twist that's a bit of a thriller, and it's got some local landmarks in as well, or at least from the region, then I think you could do far worse not to actually pick up a copy.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Rutland Radio.
Rutland Radio, it's 13 minutes past 7. I'm Rob Pisani. Thursday morning, it's the 17th of November. On the show this morning, then, more about the Active Rutland Community Sports Awards from last night. We'll hear about the Voluntary Action Rutland Community Christmas Appeal as well, which is still very much taking donations right the way up until I think it's the 9th of December. But now we're hearing about some runners who are doing over 50 miles a day. They've come down from Yorkshire. They're in Rutland at the moment, and they're running to Twickenham to raise money for their local air ambulance and also their rugby club. Gemma is one of them. Thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. You've actually been running part of this. How are your legs feeling to start with?
They're a bit achy, but they're still going. So we're still trudging along, but we're a bit achy.
So tell us about the causes that you're raising money for. You told me yesterday when we chatted, when you came into Rutland, that you're at a very rural rugby club and you really rely on the emergency services being there for you just in case.
We do, yeah. Where our rugby club is, it's in Wensleydale, in Leyburn, up on the North Yorkshire Dales. So, it's quite remote up there. So sort of lead time to the hospital by road ambulance is quite lengthy. So the air ambulance is utilised quite frequently, not just by the rugby club, but by the local community. And walkers out on the Dales as well, so it's utilised a hell of a lot.
Now, you've been running down from the Dales. Yesterday you came from Nottingham into Rutland via Wymondham, by the windmill there. I saw the pictures of that. And
we did.
Oakham Fire Station as well. So are the fire stations any particular connection, because you're setting off from Uppingham Fire Station soon?
Not really. My best friend Mel Finnemore, she's a retained firefighter at Uppingham Fire Station. We've been friends for many years. My husband's a firefighter in London, so it's kind of. I suppose there is a connection there, really. But it's people opening their doors and allowing us to come in and refuel, go to the toilet and just have a little bit of a sit down.
So which day is this out of, you're doing this over about a week, aren't you?
Yeah, we ran 31 miles on Sunday. We had a rest day Monday. We ran 58 miles Tuesday, so 56 miles yesterday. So we're on day 4.
And tell us what happens on Saturday, because, that the whole point of this is to finish at Twickenham.
We are. We're hoping to land at Twickenham tomorrow afternoon. But on Saturday, we are going to be running onto the pitch between half-time of the England-Fiji game to score our longest try from our rugby club down to Twickenham.
So you're running with a rugby ball as well?
We are, yes.
Excellent. Well, if people would like to support you, then I guess you've got collecting buckets at the fire station. What time are you setting off?
We'll be setting off to the fire station any time, sort of in the next 5-10 minutes.
So if people are in Uppingham, Aston Road, just halfway along there, they'll see you in the next few minutes in your high vis, getting ready for your run to Kettering today.
They will, yes, they will, yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. Do you have any particular fundraising target? How are things going on that front?
We're hoping to get sort of around about £10,000 to £15,000.
And there's 6 of you running. Is that right?
We're down to 5 today. My husband's had to go off to work, so we're down to 5 today. Actually, we've got 6 running this morning for a few miles, but then mostly down to 5.
Well, happy running, and don't think of the hills. That's all I'll say between Uppingham and Kettering.
They only make you stronger.
Yes, very true. Gemma, thank you very much for coming on Rutland Radio. If people want to find out more about you, if they go onto Facebook, type in The Longest Try, they can find all the updates there, can't they?
They can indeed. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. We're talking about the Voluntary Action Rutland Community Christmas Appeal, and with me is Engagement Officer Jess Montgomery. Well, thanks for coming in, Jess. And we've really not got too long if people want to be a part of this. Just explain where all the goods and the presents that you actually collect go to, broadly.
They go to various different people. We give them to social services who will distribute them to the families in most need. We also give to Women's Aid and the local Visions Children's Centre. And this year we've also been in talks with the new Dove Cottage Day Hospice at Ridlington, so we'll also be giving some of the donations to them as well. So it's a really good cause, and we want as many people to get involved as possible.
Now, it's really wide, isn't it? It's gifts for all ages.
Yes, so all ages, toiletries, toys. We had some candles come in, pretty much anything that you would give to a member of your own family, really, we want in. But we're actually lacking at the moment teenage gifts, especially teenage boys and older men as well.
That is tough, isn't it? And,
Yeah,
people actually
exactly.
struggle with those sort of people in their own families, don't they? So
Yeah.
what sort of gifts do you think you'd be looking for then?
Toiletries, picture frames, anything that you'd give to someone in your own family. So maybe think of someone which is interested in a hobby and buy something sort of relative to that, because I'm sure we'll find someone in the county that would like that.
So your main drop-off is Voluntary Action Rutland on Land's End Way in Oakham.
Yes.
What time and days are you open for that?
We're open 9 till 1, the reception, every day, Monday to Friday, so you can drop them off there. There are also people around in the afternoon if you can't get there in the morning. But we also have some of the village halls as well that are helping us with this.
Yeah, Great Caston have been doing it every Wednesday, haven't they, for instance?
Yes, Great Caston Church Hall, every Wednesday morning you can drop off there, 10 till 12. Liddington Village Hall are going to be open on Thursday the 24th of November between 5 and 7. And then Cottesmore, Friday the 25th between 7 and 9. Saturday the 26th between 12 and 4. And the Sunday between 12 and 6 as well. So if they're closer to you, that's a good place to drop off.
And what's the absolute last date before you can't take any more and you've got to just get everything out?
It will be the 9th of December, so we want everything in by then so that we have time to sort out everything, wrap them if necessary, and then distribute them in time for Christmas.
So gifts for all ages for those in need around our county.
Yes.
And I know that you also work with Kevin O'Brien with his amazing long-running toy appeal. I saw yesterday people were dropping stuff off there, so that's just as good really if it's toys that people would like to donate.
Yes, yep, toys, yep, anything like that. We're not too fussy really.
Just the more the merrier really.
Yes, definitely.
Can I ask as well, sometimes people just want to pledge money so you can go out and buy stuff. That does happen, doesn't it? But at the end of the day you just want things because
Yes.
it's going to take time to go and get stuff, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. If you did want to do a monetary donation, Rainbow's Hospice in Leicester are looking for just money this year. They don't want sort of toys, so that's another place that you could donate if you don't feel you have a gift to give.
That's the Voluntary Action Rutland Community Christmas Appeal. We're proud supporter here at Rutland Radio, and Jess Montgomery, Engagement Officer. Thanks for joining us this morning.
No worries.
Rutland Radio.
I'm here with Elaine Vicky Lornazak, the Oakham Artistic Gymnastic Academy, Rutland Radio's Club of the Year. What a cheer when that happened.
I couldn't believe it. I really didn't expect it. It was just a shock. I just stood there and looked at you, didn't I, Vicky?
You did.
Tell us the beginnings of that. It was in Caldecott Village Hall.
We started off with 4 children in 2004. It grew over the few years. It was a family gymnastics club, and then 2-3 years ago the council at Oakham asked us we put one on in Oakham, open up a gym club in Oakham. So we opened a gym club in Oakham and built it up to about 120-130 gymnasts. But that grew the building within 6 months and it became bottlenecked, and we started to look for another venue. When the council offered us the hub at Ashwell, we went to look at it and we said yes, we take that. And I think yesterday we had a total of 480 gymnasts.
They all Rutland?
Well, we have them come from everywhere. We have some from Stamford, some from Corby, Leicester. They come to us from everywhere. We do have some actually that come from London. Their parents are lawyers and doctors and
They brought their children down to Rutland.
Isn't that the most amazing thing about this county? It's in Middle England. Not everyone even knows where it is. Yet, for some reason, it has this real national importance.
It's great. I love it. I love Rutland. From living outside of Rutland and having come into Rutland in the last 20 years, I wouldn't leave. No, it's got everything. It's got the ruralness of it. It's a sporting, small county. So, really, if anybody wants to play sport and have a good life, Rutland's the place to be.
I'm here with 2 of the leading lights of Taekwondo across Oakham and Stamford. That's Rimini and Jessie Orcello. Wow, you both won tonight in your respective categories, 2 years apart.
Yeah, I'm a bit shocked really.
Tell us about that competition weekend over in Poland.
It was really quite hot weather. It was like 32 degrees, and I remember going over on the Friday and it was probably about 34 degrees and I had a weight category to get into and I was over it, so I was outside in the sun in a bin bag, a hoodie, running around in 34 degrees heat just to get in a weight category, which I got into. I lost
so you kind of sweated it off.
Yeah, I literally sweat off. It all worked out really. We worked really hard and we came back with brilliant results out of probably about 23, and we brought back loads of medals, and it was just a brilliant competition and I couldn't be any prouder from everybody.
And do you feel any pressure to do it because, you know, your dad's got real passion for it, your mum does it, and they both do really well too?
Yeah, I feel a little pressure, but it's more like I have passion for it, so I feel like I should do it for myself more than anything.
And then when you all succeed, there must be something in your genes that actually...
Yeah, probably.
How many years do you think you've both been doing it now? Have you literally, you know, has it been since 4 or 5 years old? Or?
I started when I was 5, but then I couldn't stand still in the class, so Dad told me to start when I was 6 again. So I've been doing it since I was 6 years old, so it must be coming on to 9 years this year. So yeah, it's a long time.
I've been training since I was 5, so I think about 7 years.
And it's very much about your attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It not only helps me within a person, but it also teaches me defence outside of school and how you react in life. Anything can come at you, and that's why we do it. So we do know how to get ourselves out of a situation that we don't want to be in.
Onwards and upwards. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you.
Rutland Radio.
So, winner of 2 awards at the Active Rutland Community Sports Awards, the Rutland Water Park Run. A lot of support for you, Manjinder, here tonight. How many people did you have on your first run?
237 or 5, yes. So at the launch last year, yeah.
And you've just celebrated your first anniversary with the oldest marathon runner in the world.
Yes.
Coming to Rutland Water.
105-year-old Fodger Singh, who was awesome. He was our tail runner, so it was great. And as I said earlier, he really embodies what parkrun is all about. It's for any age, category, any background, any ability or disability. We encourage everyone and anyone. So it was nice today to see people who do our parkrun here tonight and come over and say hello.
It's fast become, a real fixture, hasn't it, on Saturday morning at 9 at Normanton?
Yeah, I think it's the routine and the fact that people can walk it. It's non-competitive, it's friendly, it's not a race. There's no competition, it's just keeping fit and healthy for the community. And it's a really good opportunity for people to socialise afterwards over a cup of coffee back at Olivetto's. That's part of it as well, the social side, yeah.
And Junior Park Run coming soon, as long as you can get a little bit more funding.
Yeah.
You need that funding to basically buy the stuff to make it happen.
That would be awesome, yeah. We've got £2,000, we need the last 1,000, and it will again happen from Normanton Church, but it will be half the distance, 1.5 miles, every Sunday at 9 o'clock. And the age group is from 4 to 14-year-olds. That's who Junior Park Run is for. We have a lot of children who already come to our event, little ones as well. So it'd be really good if we can get Junior Park Run going soon. So if there's anyone out there who wants to donate, please feel free, get in touch with us. We have 2 Facebook pages, our community page and our volunteers page, and we also have our web mail page, and people can contact us through there.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
William Smart, Project Manager, Visit England.
Now tell us how Rutland is perceived on a national level in terms of tourism.
Well, for the visitor, particularly somebody who just doesn't know the area, Rutland has got an awful lot to offer, whether it's for a day visit or a short break over the weekend. A day visit in the summer, what could be better than cycling or walking around Rutland Water? And if you're fortunate to have time on your hands and want to take a long leisurely weekend, there are many great hotels and B&Bs and small pubs to go out and dine in.
And it is an industry of its own these days, isn't it?
Oh, indeed. Tourism is incredibly important to the county here in Rutland. Discover Rutland as an organisation does annual statistics and know that last year in 2015 the value of tourism was worth some £115 million.
And that's presumably more than just, those actually staying in the hotels around. How do you actually measure that?
Well, it's measured through looking at the statistics, but it includes things like visiting friends and relatives, and we all know how popular we suddenly find relatives are, given how fortunate people who live in Rutland are in having people to come. It's also recognising that tourism is also about things like business tourism. Tourism in the county mainly is leisure tourism. But as other businesses come, Rutland is a great opportunity for people coming on conferences, short breaks, company team building exercises. So that's an aspect of the tourism industry that you don't often think about when one thinks mainly about day visitors and weekend breakers.
And does it still have the image of it's like the Cotswolds but not as busy? Do people still say that?
I think you have to take each destination for its own merits. To compare the Cotswolds with Rutland, yes, I can understand why, but as we've heard here this evening, with a lot of the new sporting activities taking place on the water, that's something which is quite unique to Rutland as a destination within England.
William Smart from Visit England, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio this evening.
Pleasure.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio. I'm Rob Pisani. I'm here at Oakham School with Luke Wright, who's been on the final day of Week of the Word. Now, for those who didn't know you before today, it must have been a real kind of time where their head suddenly gets jolted as you start performing. Do you find that in front of audiences anyway who don't already know you?
I think people, and maybe teenagers particularly, have a certain set idea of what poetry can be. I mean, I think that is slowly changing. I think spoken word is a lot more popular now than it was even 2-3 years ago. But yeah, I think if your experiences of poetry being limited to studying the GCSE anthology, which are quite limited, quite sober experiences, I like to try and show that kids that yes, poetry can be about big serious issues as it is in their anthologies, but also it can be about anything. It can be about something inane and silly. It can be about something that makes you angry, something that makes you sad, and most of all, it should be in your own vernacular, in your own voice. It should sound like it's come from you and is not come from 300 years ago.
You're a proud Essex poet. Is this similar to your background coming to Oakham School?
Well, I don't know if I'm a proud Essex poet. I'm not sure I'll accept that. I grew up in Essex and I have a sort of strange fondness for it, as one always does for one's home place. But I grew up in North Essex, rural Essex, and so, yeah, I mean, I feel above all East Anglian, and I guess, is it still East Anglia?
We're just about. We can get away. It depends who you ask.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're just going to say the wrong side of Peterborough, but you're on a different side of Peterborough. But yeah, this feels like ye old England here. It's not unusual to me.
You have very much a rhythm when you deliver poetry, and you know there's huge long swathes as well. It's an awful lot to remember, not only what you're saying but how you're saying it as well, to get in that kind of zone.
Yeah, I tend to read my poetry in the way that I feel the words demand it, and obviously there is a natural tune to the poems.
You seem to sum up really what performance poetry is all about, because you do perform it. You're not just there standing in front of the microphone. It's far more than that.
Yeah, I like to think I stop short of acting it out.
So what about your inspiration? Because, there's a lot of kind of watching the world go by and seeing particular characters in your work.
Yeah, I like characters. I mean, I like people, and people are interesting. This play that I'm touring at the moment, what I learned from Johnny Bevan, I mean, a lot of people see it and I say, it's a play about politics or disillusionment left by New Labour. And yes, those things are in there, but essentially, at its core, is a play about two young men who have this strong and life-changing platonic love for each other. It's a great young friendship. I mean, I think, essentially, we always care about people.
So that's the show that you bring to Stamford Arts Centre Theatre on the 1st of December?
Yes, I am, yeah. It's right near the end of the tour. I think it is the penultimate date of the tour. We've done 18 months of this, and it's been all around, all over the place, and we've won awards, and it's had a grand old time. But yeah, it is coming to a close now, what I learned from Johnny Bevan, so catch it in Stamford on the 1st of December.
And just a word about what you've been doing and what you're continuing to do at Oakham School today. You visited lots of different classes.
Yes, I've done a couple of performances, and I've done a couple of workshops, and there are a couple more workshops to go. And in the workshops, we've been looking particularly at form. I'm a big fan of poetic form. I think George Orwell said, yes, language can come from thoughts, but often thoughts can come from language. If you start writing, you don't know where it's going to take you. And that's why I like using form, because I like having some rules to force me into difficult corners that I have to then think my way out of. So the kids here are great because they're not afraid to put their hands up and ask questions and challenge, and they've struck me thus far, thankfully, has been interested, so that's a good thing. But I am reaching that point in the day when I'm kind of frazzled and I can't remember what I've said to who, so who knows how it'll go from here on in, but hopefully we'll get through it.
Right, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio and sharing some time with us today, and see you in Stamford on the 1st of December.
Cheers, thank you.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm with Sam Rodden at the Stamford Arts Centre, and you're the director of Art Pop-Up, aren't you? So you're doing a community day today?
Yes, we are. We're working with the Woodland Trust on their National Tree Charter, which is an initiative from the grassroots up to build a new charter to send to government about why trees are important to us and why we need to integrate them into our lives and protect them. So we're working with the Woodland Trust, and people can come down today. We're running a wide range of activities. We're doing printing, collage, art workshops, face painting, storytelling. It's all free of charge. We just need a tree story in exchange. So why you love trees, what's your favourite tree, did you climb one as a kid? And then come get your activity stamp and have a go at the free activities.
Have you got a tree story then?
I used to climb the trees in the Wreck up in Stamford. I grew up here, and there are some really great trees at the top there where I learnt to climb.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
So Debbie, you're part of the calendar, and you're starring in the calendar, aren't you, as well?
I am indeed, yes.
So how was it making the calendar?
It's really, really good fun. It was a little bit chilly, to be fair, because it was raining on the day that I had my photo taken, but we had great fun doing it, and I know the ladies loved getting their kit off.
And what's the theme this year? Because you did one back in 2014, and now you've got another one. So what's this year's theme?
This year we are following the same theme that Gary Barlow has done for his new West End musical. We were lucky enough to be invited to the One Show as a result of the last calendar that we did, and we met Gary and Steve Davis in the One Show. The calendar was on the theme of Gary Barlow's West End musical, so we've highlighted Flowers of the Month, and the pictures are black and white, and it kind of came about as a result of being on the One Show, or invited to the One Show from the success of our calendar back in 2014. So we thought, you know what, let's do another one, let's get on with it. So we quickly put it together, and we've got some amazing ladies that have got their kit off and showed everything that they've got in order to raise money, and it's really good.
And you're raising money for Macmillan, so why have you chosen Macmillan?
I think Macmillan is really close to everybody's heart. I don't think there's anybody that we met that hasn't been involved or hasn't had to have some involvement with Macmillan, which is quite sad. And they do an incredible job in helping and supporting families, and I just want to be part of that. I'm on the board of a group that helps raise money for the local area. So if you do want to get involved and you do want to be part of that committee, please give me a ring at the Green Dragon, because we'd love to have you on board. It's a great thing to get involved in, and we do lots of fundraising over the course of the year.
And these calendars are limited edition, aren't they?
They are indeed. There's only 150 produced this time, so you need to get your hands on them pretty quick because they are selling out fast already. We launched them at 10:30 this morning, and we're already really, really busy.
How much are they again?
They're £6.50, and they are obviously for 2017, and they're well worth every penny.
Lovely, thank you very much, Debbie.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. The decorations are being put up in our towns. As you probably know, Christmas trees are up. The Oakham Christmas lights were hung at the weekend. And also, it was the start of the shops being decorated as well. And this is where you come in. Which do you think is the most impressive? To tell us more about this, from Oakham in Bloom, Pippi Woodley, the return of your Christmas window competition, and about double the size as it was when it started.
Yes, this year's Christmas window competition looks like it's going to be 40 plus people, which is absolutely brilliant. Our town is going to look absolutely gorgeous this year.
And it obviously is to encourage, the shops to really make an effort with their displays so everyone feels festive, more people come in and shop, and it's also a good fundraiser for Oakham in Bloom at the same time.
It really is. It's all about the windows looking beautiful. The more beautiful our little town looks, the more people are going to come in and do shopping. I charge a little fee for everybody to go into the competition. That money will go towards next year's summer planting. So it's a real win-win for everybody.
So it's over 40 shops being decorated this year that have signed up to it.
Yes.
And you want people actually to vote for their favourite.
Yes, this year we're doing things slightly differently. Instead of getting local dignitaries and the chairman of Oakham in Bloom to vote for their favourite, we're getting the people to vote for their favourite. So we're leaving forms at every single shop, and you fill a form in with your favourite, and then you put it into the box at the Melton Mowbray Building Society.
Will people know which shops are actually taking part?
Yes, so it will be on the Oakham in Bloom website. It will be on the Town Partnerships website. And I'm hoping that we've got a little sticker in each one of the windows. So there's a little I support Oakham in Bloom sticker in each one of the windows. So it's about going around and looking at all the beautiful windows and deciding for yourself.
So that's a great kind of sideline really to coming into town to do some Christmas shopping, isn't it?
It is. Yep, come into town, go and have a nice cup of coffee somewhere and look at all the beautiful windows and decide which one you want to win.
So they're being decorated at the moment. Is everyone ready for this competition now?
Well, we are encouraging people to start their windows as soon as they can, because really and truly, the more time that they have their windows decorated, the more votes that they're going to get. And the windows looking beautiful and everywhere looking festive will get people shopping and coming into Oakham. The idea is, for people to come here rather than go to the out-of-town shopping centres, because we have so much to offer.
Absolutely, and we look forward to revealing the winners at Late Night Shopping on the 5th of December on the stage. And if between now and then you see a shop that's worth celebrating in terms of the display, then get a voting form from there, pop it into the Melton, and you never know, the one you vote for could well be the winner. And Pippi Woodley, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Rutland Radio.
I need to speak to Mrs. Brown. Now, Mrs. Brown is at Malcolm Sargent and yesterday went to Northampton to pick up a very special award. Hello, Mrs. Brown, how are you?
Good morning, Rob. Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Tell us, you're National Teaching Assistant of the Year.
It's actually Higher Level Teaching Assistant of the Year. It's a status in its own right, an HLTA.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I've been a TA for about 12 years at Malcolm Sargent, but I've actually been an HLTA for 8 years here.
What does a higher level teaching assistant do typically, or what do you do?
Well, it just means that you can cover classes and so cover teachers when they're away, if they're on courses or if they're off sick, and then it's just sort of a slightly different role than within the school. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years with some of my other colleagues here as well, who are also HLTAs.
Now, a lot of people listening this morning all have been, I suppose, influenced by your work over the years. Anyone who's gone to Malcolm Sargent, 8 years is quite a long time in teaching, isn't it? Yes. You get quite, a turnover of children.
Yes, it's been quite a lot. And, you sort of see them going through secondary school now and see them in town, and they always sort of say hello. And, so it has seen quite a few changes and, different things happening. So yeah, it's been lovely to be part of that sort of community for such a long time as well.
So you were in Northampton yesterday, and describe what it was like when actually they read out the nominations. How many people were you up against?
Well, actually, we were in London yesterday.
Oh right, I see. I just saw this University of Northampton picture.
Well, it's run. The regional finals was run by the University of Northampton. So that was where I won the regional final, and then all the regional winners from around the country went to London yesterday, and we had an amazing treat. We toured the Houses of Parliament, which was absolutely fantastic. That was a prize in itself, I thought. And then we just went for a lunch, and the MP, Andrew Mitchell, came and announced the winner. And it was just all a bit surreal, really, yes. And it was me that was the winner. So, yeah, I've got a very nice shiny piece of glassware to put on my mantelpiece and a certificate. So, yeah, it was totally unexpected and a great, a big shock. And I'm just really proud to have been nominated by Tina Cox and Georgina Vickers, two of the teachers and assistant head here. So, it was just a surreal sort of day.
And higher level teaching assistant of the year nationally. Yes, that's nationally.
You. It sounds a bit weird when you say it out loud.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, no, that is me, apparently, yes.
Well, a huge well done from all of us here at Rutland Radio.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah. Just, I can hear you still on cloud nine, and yes, a bit kind of, you can't believe it quite happened.
No, I can't actually, no. And I just want to thank all my colleagues here for all their support as well. So, yeah, thank you.
Mrs. Brown from Malcolm Sargent, thank you for joining us on Rutland Radio this morning.
Thank you.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
My name's Elizabeth Belsey, and I do the PR and the treasurer for the Cottesmore Military Wives Choir.
And you're one of the younger choirs, aren't you, in terms of how long you've been going?
Yes, we set up, Joe and I got together in the summer 2.5 years ago, and obviously that's when it all started back at the very beginning, and we've been going from strength to strength since about, let me have a think, 27 months now.
You could be appearing on the Christmas #1 single. How does that feel?
Proud to be part of the Military Wives Choir, proud to be one of the founding members of Cottesmore Military Wives Choir, and just proud of all the girls that are within the choir, because they've really, they've shone through.
So tell us how this song was put together.
It was put together and collated with the foundation that's run out of London by a certain couple of...
It's fine, don't worry.
It was put together by the foundation, and obviously they put it out to all the choirs, and then we all got together at lots of different locations around the world, and obviously it was all cut together to make the final outcome, Home for Christmas.
Now, you can, obviously, people will know the melody Hark the Herald Angels sing, so it's a traditional carol with, I suppose, a new message, but a traditional message at the same time.
Yes, obviously it is a traditional song, but the message is obviously for all the service personnel that are not home for Christmas, to say that we've not forgotten you, they're still in our hearts, and we wish they were here with us, which we've all gone through, having, whether it's been fathers, sons, brothers, they're all part of our family, whether it's best friends, the wider community within the forces. Family isn't always blood. And
as you say, you've all felt it in one way or another. We know that the conflicts go on around the world. Operations do go on as well. That must be the most difficult thing, really, being in a military family at Christmas.
Yes, through personal experience of 20 plus years. For myself and for all the ladies that are in the choir. At the moment, the majority here on base are at home, but not to say there isn't the odd individual that's gone out themselves overseas. So obviously, we're thinking of them at this time.
Do you have any performances planned of the single?
At the moment, we've got a couple of events booked in. We're at Wittering this Friday, which will be the first time out with doing the song in the professionally, that we'll be singing it just on our own as a choir. And I believe we've got a couple of events coming up in December as well, but I've yet to clarify that.
Now, you've also performed as part of other choirs, say at Remembrance as well, over in Leicester. You get asked to do some quite significant things.
Yeah, last Sunday the girls were up in Uppingham doing a concert. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that one, but the girls were all there on Sunday, and from a lot of people that have spoken to me professionally through my work base, they've said that's the best the choir have ever been, and I'm so proud of them. And it was for the Battle of the Somme.
And being part of the choir is more than the actual singing, isn't it? It's a kind of solidarity in a way.
Yes, it's a solidarity for women throughout the ages. One of our ladies was in her 60s, all the way down to late teenagers. You can be mums, sisters, fiancées, wives. And it's just a way for the girls to get together, to be themselves, regardless of whether the husband's partners, dependents are home or not. And the solidarity and companionship they get from that is twofold, especially when they're new in base, which has happened recently. A lot of the girls, because of my job working in welfare, I encourage the new wives to come to the choir, and they've met lots of nice new friends.
How many members have you got now?
I believe at the moment it's about 37.
And it was 27 who actually appeared on the song?
I think it was about 27 roughly, yes.
What an amazing contribution, and actually to be part of something that big. Were you singing with other choirs at the time, I guess? Yes,
there was about 5 choirs there, including us. Obviously we all had an itinerary to work from. We all got there, we started, and it took us approximately 2 hours up in Birmingham. We all left about 11 o'clock from Cottesmore. I was driving the minibus, and another one of the wives was driving the other minibus. So yeah, that was a trial in itself, just getting through Birmingham on that Sunday. But we all got there and home safe and sound, and we had a fantastic day.
Rutland Radio.
So Ben Smith, it's very hard not to actually start with 10,500 miles, £250,000, 401 marathons. What an incredible challenge.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to the fact that we completed it. You know, I had constant belief that we would get there, but the reality of actually getting there and belief are two very different things.
And how was it? I've run one marathon. I know people who've done 7. And I've known people who've done that sort of thing in the desert. But to do marathon after marathon really must take its toll, surely.
Yeah, it really does. First of all, it's quite physical. But then over a period of time, the body does start to adapt and it becomes more mental than it does physical. So it's about having a strong mind, really. I found out that I'm incredibly stubborn and incredibly resilient. But that said, you know, I had good days and I had bad days. And, you know, the bad days got as bad as in 284 in Aberdeen when I broke my back. I went back 10 days later in Inverness and started running more than a marathon every day to make up the distance that I lost. So,
did you fall then, or?
No, I was actually diagnosed with something called spondylolisthesis, which is like curvature of the spine at the bottom of the back, and it had created a weakness and that had fractured. It was because of the sheer amount of running that I was doing. I never thought that would happen. I didn't even know I had the issue. Like with many things, you don't really know until you have a full scan of your body, do you?
You've involved schools right along the way, and in Stamford you went to Copt Hill, you started at Stamford Welland, you came here with the running club as well and G'd them on, and they actually joined you for a bit.
Yeah, I was back here in the kind of early 200s, which was a long time ago and just before I broke my back. And, you know, the support from the local area was absolutely phenomenal. I've worked with Inspire Plus. I'm one of their ambassadors, actually, and that's why I'm here for the couple of weeks that I'm up here to work with schools and visit them, just to talk to kids about what it is that I've done and try and inspire them and get them to see that actually, you know what, belief in your own ability is one of the biggest things you can have and one of the best things you can have as a human being.
And how do you feel about your running now? Are you glad to kind of close the door on that?
Oh, no, I will never close the door on running. I will say, however, that there's a slight lack of motivation around running at the moment because I had such a focused goal, and having done it for such a long period of time, it got to the point where when I finished, it was figuring out what was next that was the problem. So physically I'm fine, mentally I'm struggling a little bit at the moment, but once I find that focus again, once I've found that real direction, which we have an inkling as to what that is, then I believe, you know, the running will start coming back. But I've got a goal with the London Marathon in April and then hopefully a fast marathon in September next year.
Have you done that one before, London?
Yeah, I did that one during my challenge and also back in 2014. So it's an incredible event, and London's on steroids basically when it happens.
Ben Smith, thank you very much for joining us in Stamford today, and thanks for taking a bit of time out to talk to Rutland Radio.
No problem, thank you.
Rutland Radio's Best Bits on the podcast.
My name's Jessica Cotton and I'm consultant trainer for Young Minds.
I'm Sarah Furness and I'm High Sheriff of Rutland.
And effectively you've brought the representatives from the primary schools in our county together today, and tell us why.
Mental health has always been important, but modern developments in technology and the internet mean that children of all ages, all across the scale, are suffering from anxiety and problems. And we've realised that actually we don't just have to concentrate on the secondary schools, but we need also to concentrate on the primary schools. So today we've been doing training for people working in primary schools, trying to help build up resilience in youngsters.
So where does that anxiety typically come from? Because we know that primary school children are tested now, for instance, they've got exams, they've got those pressures.
The last large-scale study looking at the mental health of young people is now about sort of 12 years old. So actually what we do know is that there's a need for larger scale data to tell us a bit more about the current situation. We also know, of course, that life has changed over the last 12 years and the issues that young people face are different. However, we do know that the basic things that we can do to promote positive mental health and emotional resiliency in our young people, there are things that we can still be doing. Really today was about really drawing attention to the things that primary school staff are already doing very, very well in terms of supporting that early intervention agenda and promoting resilience so that those young people don't then escalate to become in those statistics of young people that go on to have mental health issues, mental health problems and mental health disorders.
Do you think part of actually the way it is modern life? You think of the average primary school child, they've got the school day, they've got after school clubs, they've got other clubs, they've got homework to do, they've got all these things and they literally cascade through the day for a lot of them, even when they're quite small.
Modern life is definitely very complicated. I think even for adults, when we have a sort of fixed sense of self and identity. So imagine having to negotiate all of those transitions and life changes and developmental tasks and all of these things whilst actually you're still carving out for yourself a sense of identity and who you are. So certainly we do know that these young people do need our support.
Anything else to add?
Only really to encourage anybody listening who's interested in finding out more about mental health, finding out more about the work that Young Minds does. They can log on to our website, youngminds.org.uk. We've got lots of training available, so join the conversation about mental health and let's bust some stigma.
Rutland Radio.
Well, this morning the new play equipment was officially opened at Brookhill Nursery. I'm here with Virginia Bodley, Mrs. Bodley, to most people who go here. Now, we've got a dual slide, we've got the new swings here today, we've got the ribbon all ready to go. And, tell us about the nursery here. You've only been here a couple of years, moved over to Meath Western.
Yes, the nursery is very well established here at Brookhill Academy, and it works really well because the children have that feeling of continuity. So we invite the children in, they get very comfortable playing here with us. They see the older children over the fence, they see the older children's teachers, and it just gives them that real confidence and passion for learning and feeling confident around other children and adults, really.
So tell us about this equipment. I know Mars actually gave you a grant to help with this.
Yes, we've had some very generous grants. Mars Pet Care funded us to the tune of £1,500. The PFA, that's part of Brookhill Academy, did some match funding for us, and then the parents of last year's cohort of children also did a huge amount of fundraising for us too. We had a generous donation from Rutland Trust as well, from Mr. Adams. So yes, we've had lots of people pitching in and helping us out with this project.
How do you know what to actually get?
Well, we're blessed because we have a very talented father who's already built for the older children an outdoor classroom with some beautiful carved animals and figures.
What's his name?
That's Mr. A.
He's done a fantastic job because, there's
absolutely
so much on the
fantastic
market.
job.
First time I've ever seen a dual slide.
Yes, and they absolutely love it because they race each other. And I have to say, I have to keep the staff off as well because they really enjoy racing each other down the slide. So it is really imaginative, and there are lots of nooks and crannies. And he's left it open for us also to be creative. We're going to put some blackboard paint inside so that the children can freely express themselves through drawing and so on. So it's an ongoing project for us, but great fun. They're loving it, absolutely loving it.
And celebrations, I know, continue through the morning.
Yes, that's right. So anybody who wants to pop along and take a look, we're serving bacon butties and sausages in buns and cups of tea and coffee. We've got a glorious morning here. The sun's peeking its way out through behind the clouds. So if you've got tiny children, come and just take a look and see what we have to offer. That would be fantastic.
It's Brookhill Nursery as part of Brookhill, obviously, on Brook Road in Oakham. Mrs. Bodley, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks for coming.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.